what are some of the main benefits for believing in Qiyamah? What happens when we believe in Qiyamah? There is simply no way to fully express the psychological and the spiritual and the imani benefits of believing in Qiyamah. The impact on one's psyche, the impact on shaping one's paradigm of life, it cannot be expressed in words. But I'll try to summarize a few points. Firstly, belief in a Qiyamah provides a sense of morality, of self-discipline. It gives us a moral compass that is otherwise impossible to achieve. When we believe in Qiyamah, we act in an ethical manner, honestly, avoiding sins, avoiding corruption, acting in a manner that is dignified, not taking advantage of an opportunity that we can commit a sin in. And of course, this is manifested in the level of ihsan. We worship Allah as though we see Him. Even if we do not see Him, He sees us. When we believe in Qiyamah, it helps minimize our infractions, our evil deeds. In fact, it makes us live ethical lives even in our private lives. And there is nothing to substitute that level of, in Arabic we call it muraqabah, monitoring ourselves, knowing that there is a Qiyamah. Number two, belief in Qiyamah, what else does it do? It motivates us to live. It motivates us to accomplish something. It motivates us to have a purpose in life, a meaning in life. When you don't believe in a Qiyamah, when you don't believe in God, life becomes meaningless, really. What's the purpose of living? What is the whole goal? And of course, one of the first philosophers to point out this contradiction, who himself, they say, was an atheist, was Nietzsche, the famous German philosopher who went mad at the end of his life, the famous philosopher who was one of the first to publicly proclaim he was an atheist. By the way, atheism is a very, very modern phenomenon. In the history of mankind, you will not find atheists up until 200 years ago. It's a very recent phenomenon as we understand it. And even 200 years ago, it was just a handful of people. Only the last century, and especially the last half century, is when atheism has spread like wildfire. That's another interesting topic. The first famous philosopher really to come out and just deny God outright is Nietzsche. In his famous passage, the infamous passage, "A'udhu billah," the death of God and we have killed God and whatnot. But even in that passage, when you read it in the Enlightened Science, he actually mentions in there the parable of the group of people who, it's a parable, it's a metaphor, that they believe they have killed God. Nietzsche says that, do you not realize that in killing God you have killed yourselves? This is what Nietzsche himself writes. Like you think you've killed the idea of God. There's no God left. There's no idea is gone. When you extinguish the idea of God, Nietzsche is saying, you have extinguished your own existence. Life becomes meaningless. And then he writes in his philosophical way, now up is down and down is up. Dark is light, light is dark. Meaning, everything is gone. There's nothing to anchor you to anything. Morality is gone, which we see right now, right? What was khabith and well known to be wrong yesterday is now embraced as being pure and whatnot. Everything is gone, up for grabs. Once you remove God from the picture, not only morality, your existence. And I have to say this, and it's a bit sensitive to say, but I try to put gentle here. We are witnessing the rise of a wave of mental disorders and depression, the likes of which have never ever occurred in human history. Even when I was growing up, teenagers did not undergo depression at the rates we're seeing now. Young men and women who have their whole lives ahead of them. And now if you look at it, every psychiatry journal is talking about it. The rise of meaningless in life. Young men and women have to go to a psychiatrist, to a shrink, to a therapist, take medication. Not that I'm saying it's wrong necessarily, but we have to ask ourselves, here's the blunt question, why? Why is there this influx of suicides? A very sensitive topic, and may Allah protect all of us. But never in human history have young men and women been committing suicide at the rates we see in this generation. And the way things are heading, it will get worse. A'udhu billah, a'udhu billah. It's going to get worse. But why? Why is the rates of depression? Why? To us it is self-evident. When you remove God, and you remove religion, and you remove an akhirah, life becomes meaningless, pointless. What's the point of living when you're just going to have to face one struggle and one pain and one rejection and one love this and what's the point? When in the end you're just going to be extinguished anyway, you might as well extinguish yourself now and save yourself the hassle of all that's going to happen. And so when you believe in a Qiyamah, believe it or not, it makes you alive inside. Makes your life worthwhile and meaningful. That's the second point. The third point, linked to the second one, not only does it make your life worthwhile, it gives you a sense of optimism in that the future will be better than the past. And this is explicit in the second or third revelation. وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى. It's explicit in the Quran. Whatever happens in this dunya, you have something to look forward to. You know, this is human nature. Like if you're having a tough year, but you know that, let's say in the corporation, in the corporate you're in, it's a tough year, but you know there's a raise coming in December. You know you're going to get your nice fat check in December. You're like, okay, you know what? I'll just work until December. I'll get my rewards. It gives you encouragement, right? It gives you optimism that whatever's happening in the corporate politics, I have something to look forward to. Allah is saying, don't worry about this dunya. وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى. Life is indeed very difficult. Let's be honest here. It can be very depressing. There's a lot of things that happen that really affects us. But the future is brighter for the believer. And when the believer believes in Qiyamah, it gives a sense of peace that, you know what? The Akhirah will be better for me. So it makes a person optimistic. And this is what our Prophet ﷺ said, عَجَبًا لِأَمْرِ الْمُؤْمِنِ فَإِنَّ أَمْرَهُ كُلَّهُ خَيْرٌ. Wondrous are the affairs of the believer. For no matter what happens to the believer is a winner. How would the believer be a winner? Because he believes in an Akhirah. If there was no Akhirah, this life truly can be interpreted to be a losing battle all the time. Point number 4, and this goes back to one of the ways that Allah proves Qiyamah. Point number 4, a sense of justice and reckoning. All of us, without exception, have been harmed in this dunya. Injustice has occurred to us. Whether is it a small level, somebody says something nasty about you, the police pulls you over for no reason, gives you a ticket, okay? The TSA pulls you over, random profiling, okay? And it's happened. Wallahi, sometimes you just want to curse this person, like, A'udhu Billah, I'm tired, I have a headache, I came 30-hour journey, and out of this whole line, oh, you have been randomly selected 4 hours in there. You know, it's happened to me a number of times. Your heart is just giving curses at this person, right? There is no sense of justice. This TSA guard is going to get promoted by the end of the year maybe. What's going to happen? This is a minor thing. Wallahi, minor thing. How about those whose families are being harmed by the tyrants? How about those who are being tortured in the jails of the zalimeen? How about those that have been incarcerated for no reason except for speaking the truth? Those ulama that are speaking truth to power, and they have been put into jail, their families maybe even harmed or worse. How about the dictators that seem to have gotten away with killing 1 million people? How about the Uyghur brothers and sisters whose organs are being harvested as we speak? And the government seems to be getting more and more powerful. And we can go on and on. What hope do you give those people when there seems to be no hope?